The human sorting problem in the age of AI and automation. For most of human history, meaning wasn't found, it was tested. We are the first generation living after the test. Section 1. Introduction. Meaning as a tested outcome. Modern conversations about meaning tend to frame it as something to be discovered, an inner truth to be uncovered through reflection, passion, or self-expression. This framing feels intuitive today, but it is historically unusual. For most of human history, meaning did not emerge from introspection. It emerged from participation. It was not declared, it was demonstrated. Human societies developed practical systems to answer a fundamental question: where do you fit? The answer mattered not only for survival, but for social coherence. Individuals needed to know what they were good for, who depended on them, and what was expected of them. Meaning, belonging, and identity were downstream of this process. This is what we can call the human sorting mechanism, a set of cultural, economic, and social processes that tested individuals through contribution, hardship, and responsibility, gradually sorting them into roles within a group. These mechanisms were not designed by committee. They emerged organically, shaped by scarcity, danger, and the need for coordination. The central claim of this exposition is simple but unsettling. Those mechanisms are breaking down. Industrialization weakened them. AI and automation now threaten to remove them entirely. What follows is not merely an employment crisis, but a crisis of meaning, belonging, and social integration, one that modern societies are poorly equipped to address. Section 2. The human sorting mechanism, anthropological foundation. In early human societies, sorting was unavoidable. Survival imposed constant tests. Food had to be gathered, shelters built, tools maintained, threats confronted. Every able individual was evaluated continuously, not formally, but practically. Competence mattered, reliability mattered, endurance mattered. Those who could hunt, craft, heal, lead, or defend were recognized through action. Those who could not were trained, reassigned, or marginalized. This was not cruelty for its own sake. It was a functional necessity in environments where mistakes could mean death. Rites of passage emerged as symbolic compressions of this reality. Initiation rituals, endurance trials, and coming-of-age ceremonies served as accelerated tests, designed to signal readiness, commitment, and capability. They marked the transition from dependency to contribution. Importantly, these rites were not about individual fulfillment. They were about legibility. They made a person's status visible, to themselves and to the group. Once tested, an individual knew where they stood. The group knew what to expect. Meaning followed clarity. This dynamic, test, recognition, belonging, formed the backbone of social cohesion across cultures and eras. Section 3. Myth, culture, and the hero archetype. Mythology preserved these values long after material conditions began to change. Hero stories functioned as cultural memory, encoding what a society believed made someone worthy of status and admiration. In many Eastern traditions, the hero earns their power through discipline, sacrifice, and prolonged hardship. Mastery is slow. Failure is expected. Transformation is deserved. The message is explicit. Power follows effort. In contrast, much of modern Western superhero mythology revolves around accident, inheritance, or fate. Powers are granted through radiation, wealth, or birthright. The hero is chosen, not forged. This distinction is not merely stylistic. It reflects a shift in how societies conceptualize legitimacy. Trial-based narratives reinforce the idea that meaning must be earned. Accident-based narratives soften that requirement, emphasizing circumstance over contribution. Greek mythology sits between these poles. Figures like Hercules and Achilles possess innate advantages, but still face brutal trials. Even divine lineage does not exempt them from suffering. Status without struggle is incomplete. These stories mattered because they taught societies how sorting should work, even as reality slowly drifted away from those ideals. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 4. Work as the modern rite of passage. As societies grew larger and more complex, formal rituals diminished, but the sorting function did not disappear. It migrated into work. Employment became the primary way individuals proved usefulness, reliability, and competence. A job was more than income. It was identity. It answered the questions: what do you do, who needs you, and what are you responsible for? Work bound people to peers, institutions, and shared goals. It structured time. It created hierarchies. It offered progression. For many, it also enabled family formation, community participation, and intergenerational continuity. Crucially, work preserved the testing function. One had to show up, perform, improve, and endure. Failure had consequences. Success brought recognition. Meaning was not guaranteed, but it was accessible through effort. This is why the loss of work is so destabilizing. It is not merely the loss of wages, it is the loss of a culturally sanctioned path to belonging. Section 5. Industrialization and the first fracture. Industrialization did not immediately destroy the sorting mechanism, but it weakened it. Mechanization abstracted labor away from visible outcomes. Workers became interchangeable. Production scaled, but meaning diluted. The connection between effort and social recognition grew thinner. Communities fragmented as work moved away from homes and local networks. Economic participation became less legible as a moral or social contribution and more legible as a transaction. Alienation was not an accident, it was a structural byproduct. Still, enough testing remained to sustain identity. Jobs existed, roles existed. The system strained, but it held. AI changes the equation entirely. Section 6. AI and automation as a structural break. AI does not merely automate tasks. It automates competence itself. For the first time, humans are facing systems that can outperform them across cognitive, creative, and increasingly physical domains, without fatigue, without identity, without social needs. This is not a cyclical disruption. It is a categorical one. As synthetic labor expands, the traditional test, can you do something useful for others, fails by default. Not because the individual lacks ability, but because the benchmark has moved beyond human reach. This creates a profound asymmetry. Humans still need meaning, belonging, and purpose. The system no longer needs them to produce. When usefulness is no longer scarce, meaning loses its traditional anchor. Section 7. The secondary effects: identity, family, and demographics. The consequences are already visible. When individuals cannot establish stable roles, they delay or abandon family formation. Pair bonding weakens. Birth rates fall. Social trust erodes. Communities hollow out. This is not merely economic stress, it is role collapse. Without clear contribution pathways, people struggle to justify long-term commitments to others or to the future. Societies fragment into aesthetic identities, ideological tribes, or nostalgic longings for past structures, none of which replace the grounding function of tested contribution. Section 8. The core crisis: life after the test. We are entering an era where identity is decoupled from contribution, status from responsibility, and belonging from necessity. This is unprecedented. A society without effective sorting mechanisms does not become equal, it becomes unstable. Recognition becomes performative. Conflict becomes symbolic. Meaning becomes contested rather than demonstrated. The danger is not mass unemployment alone, it is mass disorientation. Section 9. Open questions and future directions. If the old tests no longer function, new ones must be designed, intentionally. What replaces work as a rite of passage? How do societies create friction without cruelty? How do individuals prove value in a world that no longer requires their labor? These questions are not philosophical luxuries, they are structural necessities. Conclusion: rebuilding the meaning machine. The human sorting problem has always existed. What has changed is our refusal to acknowledge it as infrastructure. AI and automation did not create the crisis, but they are accelerating it beyond denial. If societies fail to build new mechanisms for testing, refining, and integrating individuals, the result will not be liberation, but drift. Meaning does not survive abundance without structure, and history suggests it never has.